Hey everybody, welcome back to Pristine Podcast. My name is Leo, and in this video we're going to talk about how to use Facebook to promote your podcast. The first thing you need to do is create a Facebook business page. Different from all these podcast hosting sites where people can only leave a review at best, in Facebook pages people can not only interact with the brand they represent, but also with you personally via comments or via sending a private message. Let's talk about how you can set it up. To give you guys an example, we're going to be taking a look at the Pristine Podcast page. As you can see, here it is. To set up yours, you can set it up via your personal profile or by visiting facebook.com/pages/create. And then set the type of page you want to create, fill in the name, category, the description, and then click create page. After you've set up your Facebook page, one of the next very important steps is to create a profile image and a cover image. The profile image, the size that's recommended is 761 by 761 because it's a square aspect ratio. However, in our case, for example, we're using a vector for an image. A vector means that whatever size it is, even if you zoom in all the way in, you won't see the pixels. I've downloaded it here, and you can see that in our case it's 1980 by 1980, so it's way higher than what's recommended. If you do an image of yourself though, if you have like a picture, like a real life picture, if you have it like a huge size, even though it may be square, it will look blurry because there's too much information squashed in to such a small picture. And also keep in mind that it circles the image at the end. So if one of your eyes is slightly off center over here, it might not show at the end, so you need to test it out to see how it looks. And when it comes to the cover image, these things change all the time. Like Facebook updates these things all the time. The most up to date, which is when I'm recording this now, which is the 21st of April 2021. As you can see here, I've got it downloaded. It's 1200 by 628. Something else you need to create is a username. As you can see, ours is down here. This is also known as a vanity URL because it also shows up here at the URL section, facebook.com/Pristine Podcast. This is what your fans will use to find you, so you should try to keep it as similar as possible to your actual name. We were lucky enough to find that Pristine Podcast handle wasn't taken, so we just used it. But if it was, we would have had to come up with some slight modification, like putting a dash between Pristine and Podcast. But whatever it is, keep it simple to avoid confusion. Now, before you open the doors and invite everybody to come in to check out your brand new Facebook page, you should keep in mind to add at least one post, which, in our case, we have posted this one, which just explains what we do. And there's also a link that links to the website. So you can, people can just click this and find out what we do. There's an image over here, which is the same as the cover image. So yeah, just keep it simple, but have at least one thing that people can look at when they join. The second thing you need to do is start using the page that you just created. There has to be a sweet spot between quantity and quality for you. And to figure this out, you need to start posting slowly and see how many you can do per week without sacrificing quality much. In the beginning stages, you can do this easily because there's very few people following you probably, and you can try to experiment to see what you can stick with, and nobody's likely going to get disappointed. Cool ideas when it comes to content can be showing behind the scenes work when it comes to your podcast production, such as coming up with a script, recording yourself, or bloopers. This will show transparency, promote engagement, and make people trust you more just because you're being so transparent. Something else to keep in mind is that you can mix it up a little with posting different kinds of formats like videos, images, GIFs or GIFs, whatever you want to call it, so that there's different kinds of stuff over there. If you think that these things wouldn't work for you, or if you're too, say, shy or reserved to show behind the scenes work, especially maybe if you're in the beginning stages, that's fine. You can try to experiment with whatever you like, and it's Facebook Insights that will show you how your posts have performed. If they're gaining traction, you do you, whatever works. Lastly, don't forget to engage with your audience via comments, especially in the early stages when you have a handful of people that follow you. This will become more and more difficult as you grow, but by then you'll have different problems. Now, this will make two things happen. Number one, it will promote engagement between you and your audience because people will see that you reply to comments. They'll be like, let me comment as well so I can get a reply. The second thing that will happen is that these comments that these people are leaving underneath your posts are going to show to their friends and fans. You've probably seen some posts in your feed that you don't recognize, but one of your friends has commented underneath it, and for the most part you're like, oh, what do I care? But sometimes it's relevant. And if one of your competition, especially if they're in the same niche as you are, compliments your post, they're like, oh, I liked when you said this or that, their whole audience is going to get to see their comments. So it's very nice to increase the reach and promote your podcast as a result. The third thing you need to do is set up a Facebook group. Now this is a good idea when you've got a decent sized audience, so you can have lots of people in there that can interact with each other, so it doesn't feel like it's dead, there's no atmosphere. Now again, for the most part, these people do communicate with themselves in there, but there needs to be a community manager. This can be you in the beginning, but you can hire somebody else and they can interact in your behalf if you don't want to do it. If you do, that's fine, but that's one way to have it self-sustained. As we've talked about in previous videos, Facebook groups are one of the, if not the best place to set up a podcast community, because it ticks so many of the boxes such as privacy, direct communication with the host, exclusive content, etc. And finally, the fourth thing you can do is start experimenting with ads. If you've got lots of content out there, especially if you've set them up in a money-making form such as an ebook or an online course, you can boost your reach via ads in case organic traffic isn't cutting it. There are a lot of different ways that you can run Facebook ads. The most important thing to know is, what do you want the end result to be? Do you want more people to visit your Facebook page? Do you want more people to sign up to your podcast newsletter? What is the goal? If you simply want to bring more people to your Facebook page, you can just run a simple campaign for more reach. If you want to bring more people to your email newsletter, then you can create a freebie that's specifically correlated to one of your best performing episodes, and then run a conversion campaign that's in your landing page, for your freebie to get more leads. And then you can show your new podcast episodes to your growing audience. Please though, be sure to have set up the Facebook pixel in your website and set up the conversions before you start running any ads, because you can't measure the success of your campaign otherwise. If you want to edit your podcast faster and get more of your time back, then consider outsourcing podcast editing and post-production to me and my team. To learn more, check out the link in the description. As always, if you enjoyed this tip, then don't forget to press the thumbs up and subscribe button for more podcast related content in the future. I'll see you again in the next video.